I'm 57 freaking years old. I'm not 37 or 27 walking around. I'm 57. But now y'all want to step to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I got it.
What's going on, guys? I'm Speedy, and the name of this show is 360 with Speedy. And today I am joined by maybe the hardest working man in television. Stephen A. Smith is in the building. What's up, man? How are you?
Man? How you doing?
Good. We're happy to have you.
It's good to finally be here, man. Sorry I had to cancel a couple of times. It's been hectic.
Yeah, I told you this off camera, but it's only right that I tell the people watching at home. Yeah. We've had multiple presidents, musicians, actors, athletes. The single hardest person to book for this show has been you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm here now.
Yeah, we actually have an award for you. We're going to bring a trophy out at the end. The hardest booking.
I got you.
Let's start the timeline from the beginning for a second. Born and raised in Queens, New York,
Born in the Bronx.
Born in the Bronx, but raised in Queens, New York.
Raised in Hollis, Queens, yeah.
I'm going to take as much Queens credit as possible, so forgive me if I'm misspeaking. But Queens, New York is in the building, obviously. Talk to me about upbringing. What was it like for you?
It wasn't easy. Mom and dad were married, but my father was barely home. My mother had to work 2 jobs, 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, to take care of me and my 5 siblings, 4 older sisters and an older brother. Older brother died in a car accident in 1992. 4 sisters still living, all in New York. Me personally, it was hard for me because I had dyslexia and I had trouble comprehending what I was reading and stuff like that. So I was in the 4th grade with a 1st grade reading level. I got left back, got ridiculed a lot because of it, and had to work my ass off to get to where I am.
And before you got to this Stephen A. Smith, a lot of stops along the way. Yeah. FIT, Winston-Salem State University.
Yep.
But then you also were making, if I'm not mistaken, $15,000 a year. You were at the Greensboro News and Record.
Greensboro, $15,300. Greensboro News and Record, I was an editorial assistant. And then while I was doing that, I was also moonlighting for the paper, writing for their sports department, covering high school football and basketball in the Piedmont Triad area in North Carolina. So I would work from like 8 to 6, and then from 7 to midnight, I would work. And all I wanted in return was to write my articles so I can build my portfolio and ultimately parlay that into an internship, which would ultimately parlay into a job. And that's how it happened. But all my eyes was always on the prize because I was always hungry. It didn't matter what the situation is. I was going to go for it, and my attitude was, ain't nobody beating me. I'm going for it. You're going to have to outwork me. You're going to have to outskill me. You're going to have to outpersevere me. You're going to have to outlast me. And I don't think that people are going to be able to pull off all 4 against me. That's just always been my attitude.
When people meet rappers, i.e. Jay-Z or whoever, a lot of times they want to rap for them on the street. When people meet you, do they try to debate you?
Yeah, they do. I shut them down instantly.
What do you do?
I don't debate for free. As hard as I got to work, I'm not putting up with that shit.
So people,
they've come up to me.
You be at a restaurant or where you be
Only time, listen, most people, it could be anywhere. It could be a restaurant, it could be on the streets, it could be in a supermarket, it could be a lot of sports bar, it could be a lot of different places. And they don't come up to you saying, I want to debate you. They come up to you actually debating.
Like mid-debate.
LeBron is I saw you said this, Stephen A., you got to get it together. I'll be like this. You know what? And I remember one guy rolled up on me and he was like, man, I'm better than you. I think I'd whip your ass in a debate. And I looked at him and I said, you're probably right. I said, I tell you what, come see me after you spent 20 fucking years doing what I did.
Yeah.
Then come talk to me. I said, don't come to me with that bullshit. I think that, in the age of podcasting, YouTube and all of this other stuff, I think that it's a mixed bag because on one hand, I love the fact that there are additional outlets that can allow you to monetize your brand and build yourself, and you don't have to be at the mercy of corporate America, walking, driving in your car, taking mass transit and getting to a job and punching the clock every day. I totally appreciate that. And I want everybody to get paid. But the flip side to it is that when you get to bypass layers in order to get there, you don't appreciate the grind the way you would if you endured it.
Right.
And most importantly, you don't appreciate and respect those who did go through the grind.
Right.
And so as a result, it breeds disrespect and ultimately contempt because somebody that earned it has something that you don't. And you're not looking at the fact that they earned it.
Right.
And that's one of the things is like, me as a black man, and when you see somebody that says, if you white and you call me a loudmouth who's just running my mouth and not really putting in the work, the first people I'm looking at is black people. Because the first thing I'm saying to myself is, so when I interned at the Greensboro News and Record and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution before that, and I started out my career at the New York Daily News as a high school sports reporter. And I worked for free before that in High Point, North Carolina for the Greensboro News and Record's High Point Bureau. And then I ultimately go from the New York Daily News to the Philadelphia Inquirer. And while I'm at the Philadelphia Inquirer, I land at CNNSI, I land at Fox Sports, I land at ESPN. I'm doing the newspaper and ESPN at the same time. I'm doing the newspaper and ESPN and ultimately, quite frankly, my own damn daily television show at the same time. I'm putting in 18 to 20 hours a day. I got a national syndicated radio show. I'm still doing these other things for the network. I do all these things. And you, as black people, know what we have to endure in order to get our share. And you know my resume, and you just gonna let these people sit up there and talk about me like that, like I don't have a resume. See, I'm
So
looking
you
at
feel like the
differently.
onus and responsibility should be on our people to defend you?
In cases like that, yes. In terms of a resume, that's it. Not about you liking me, not about you agreeing with me.
Right.
Not about you trying to act like I'm some perfect dude that's flawless and devoid of mistakes. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they try to bring in the resume.
Copy.
When they
Okay.
try to act like you have folks who try to bypass the resume.
Sure.
And I'm going like, and I've said this publicly before, so you do understand, especially if you black, that if you get to bypass my resume, what they get to do to yours, right?
Right.
Because you didn't do what I did.
Right. You didn't put in them 20
You
years.
didn't put in,
yeah.
well, it's 30 now.
Right.
But you didn't do all of that. So I'm like, if I did it, then I did it. And one of the things that I try to make sure that I exemplify, it don't matter whether I like you or not. I'm never going to question the resume. The resume is the resume.
Sure.
It doesn't matter how I feel about
Right.
you.
Opinions aside, that's like factual based.
That's fact-based stuff. Why? Because if your emotions can influence your interpretation of the facts, then you cannot be trusted. The one thing people should be able to trust is that you will speak facts. If you're willing to speak facts, it doesn't matter how you feel about somebody, because you're willing to speak facts. It's like, yo, that's what it is. I got to say that. I got to give props where it's due.
You, in your career, have given upward of 30,000, 35,000, maybe 40,000 takes on television in your career.
Really?
You have. If you had to think of maybe your worst take ever, what comes to mind?
I don't know. When I think about bad takes, no, bro.
You've had some.
Give them to me.
Well, you went a stretch of predicting the wrong NBA Finals champ.
Those are not takes.
It's not a take to say.
No, I thought you was talking about a debate in terms of a prediction.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No. Hell yeah, I had 6 consecutive years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was pretty
shit is
damn bad.
hilarious.
No,
When I watched that compilation video,
Yeah.
like, I think it's going to be the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
And then it's like, congratulations to the Miami Heat or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
That shit is funny to me.
It is funny. And by the way, it's funny to me too. I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, who the hell ain't wrong? What are we supposed to do? My feelings are supposed to be hurt?
Nah.
I'm going like this. Okay, so let's analyze it. I mean, I remember one year, okay, in 2011, I'm supposed to think that J.J. Barea and Jason Terry is going to be able to guard LeBron in the post in the fourth quarter. I'm supposed to believe that. I picked Miami the year they lost to San Antonio the year they lost to Miami.
When Ray Allen
Man,
hit the three.
they bring in the tape out, the whole bit. I'm supposed to know that Greg Popovich is gonna take out Tim Duncan from the damn game. I laugh about stuff like that. Now, when I really feel wrong is when somebody got their ass kicked, and I thought they were gonna win.
Right.
Golden State, you taking LeBron and Cleveland out in 5. But during the game, LeBron knocks Draymond to the floor. Draymond kicks up his leg.
Right.
He ultimately ends up getting suspended because the league gives LeBron the damn stimulus package, okay, to help him out. So you do that, and then the next thing you know, you go to Game 5 in Oakland. Not only did I pick them to win the series, I picked them to win in 5. Okay, they had them. They were up 3-1. They go back. Draymond suspended. Bogut and Iguodala gets hurt. So I look at it, I'm going like this. Y'all want to ridicule me and say I'm wrong? Knock yourself out. The check's still coming. I'm good.
The check still clears for sure. Right. Your predictions are always rooted in fact. And so for that, I will definitely throw you a bone. But it is objectively funny to watch.
I'm not offended by people. Hell, I laugh at me sometimes. Damn, I did do that. Oh, they got me. I don't get mad at shit like that. Man, y'all listen. Everybody, first of all, in today's day and age, you got a job to do. But aside from that, even when it may not have been a job, it's all in fun. You think y'all messing with me? I got 4 older sisters. You got older sisters? You ever see them ridicule you? You got cats that you grew up with. How you think they came at me? I mean, of course, everybody gonna talk shit. We got it. You know, so it doesn't. I'm never offended by something like that. I'm like, yeah, you got me there. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that's all you got. Because remember, I'm giving all of these takes.
You seem to be a well-traveled man. The gig has taken you, it seems, all across the world.
Right.
Have you considered a trip to Turkey?
I haven't. I haven't thought about it. I should. I've been told Turkey. I've been told Russia. I've been told Israel. I've been told Istanbul. I've been told Croatia. Croatia's been #1 on everybody's list. Every time somebody tells me where I need to go, they always mention Croatia. So,
but I think for you specifically, Turkey would be a great place.
Because of what the other Turkey thing my nephew Josh or something mentioned of that.
What did he say?
I don't know. I don't remember what the hell this is. I don't know.
Turkey specializes in like hair transplants.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? If it works, my girl's not complaining. You know, I'm living a good life. Last time I checked before I had her, you know, I was living a pretty good life. I'm good. So I don't want to offend anybody. I'm not anti anything. I live my life. I let people live there. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a social liberal. But I don't really give 2 shits about what a man thinks about how I look. So I think it's very, very important. Now, a woman talking to me about how I look.
Right. As long as the ladies is locked in, then
I could give a shit. I don't care how men think about how I look.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some very iconic Stephen A. Smith moments across the years.
Yep.
And maybe you can just add some context or some thoughts about that moment.
Sure.
Let's start off with one of my personal favorites was "Stay off the weed."
Yeah.
It's one of your most popular quotes.
Stay off the weed.
When's the last time you hit the blunt?
I don't smoke.
In life?
No.
You've smoked once.
No, I smoke a cigar.
You've never smoked a blunt in your life?
No.
You've never smoked weed?
No.
Is that why you feel like you have such a strong stance?
No. I grew up, distant relatives, stuff like that, drug addicts, things of that nature. Some of my boys, drugs, etc. And I understand usually that's hardcore, but I've seen cats addicted to weed. I've seen, cats walking around looking like damn zombies over weed. And in covering sports, yes, I have seen it in players. And I've seen how they have performed when they were, dare I say, inebriated or whatever, high, whatever word you want to use. So what I think about is the rules and the regulations of what that's going to cost you. Like, my man Snoop had to come on my show on a couple occasions to defend me because we all know Snoop and weed are synonymous,
right.
And he had to let everybody know that brother ain't never told me not to smoke not one time. It's totally true.
Right.
Because it don't cost him his money.
Right, but an athlete...
it's costing you your money. And so, for me, being broke, growing up poor, all of that, I'm like, y'all know what this is. Y'all come from the same environment I came from. You gonna just blow your money because you want to get high?
Right.
That, to me, is stupid.
I agree.
So that's where it emanated from. And then it caught on, and so I didn't mind saying it. But
right.
I was only talking about if it costs you your money. If it's not, puff, puff, puff away.
Lamar Odom, smoking crack.
Crack, yes. He was.
Thoughts on that time, that moment?
Lamar Odom is good.
The way you said
he was on crack. It's true. But
yeah.
I didn't, listen. Lamar Odom is one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet.
Queens as well.
So, Christ the King, yeah. So
that's where I went.
There you go. So I'm like, when I said it, I'm arguing with Max Kellerman at the time. You understand? And I'm making my point. I'm not the way they did it, like froze it and all that, like crack. I'm like, good Lord, you know, they'll do anything. They'll do anything with these videos these days, you know. So, but I was like, you know, I was just saying what is, but it was more towards Max than it being about Lamar. You know what I'm saying? And it was also about Phil Jackson and how I think that the New York should barricade his ass out of the state. Don't ever allow him in. Well, not just that decision, the job he did in New York, and that was his first. That was his first decision. You know what I'm saying? His first thing.
Day one on the job.
Exactly. So I mean, that's all it was. But I mean, you know, ultimately, you know, I apologize for that because Lamar, obviously, you know, his people rather, you know, took it that way. He had gone through a lot, and I'm not wishing anything. He's always a good brother. It's just that it was the truth.
Right. He was. My maybe all-time favorite though, and this one I don't know if you'll remember, but you were doing a drop for TAB Sports, which was a young woman who was I don't know, a young reporter, and she asked you
that Hispanic honey from is it the one from Puerto Rico? I think she was from Puerto Rico.
She said, "Can I get a drop?" And your words were, "TAB Sports, whatever. Do not take your eyes off it." And then you looked at her for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Vaguely, but I have no regrets. If I see a fine ass woman, I'm gonna acknowledge that she's fine. I mean, usually it's to myself, but she came up to me and asked me to do a drop. So okay, that's what I did. It wasn't like I was at work and I walked up to her and you know tried to step to her or whatever. I don't do that because I don't shit where I eat. But the point is that in the end, that's what it is. And I know everybody's, oh my goodness, you don't shit where you eat. In other words, you don't mess around on the job.
Right.
Period. I don't do that. I don't mess with stuff that's gonna mess with my money. That's not what I do. But she was fine. And I know that. And I have no regrets about what I said.
Have you seen that clip recently, or it's been years?
Not recently, but it was memorable.
Bro.
Because she was memorable.
Do not take your eyes off it.
It's just the truth.
For obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons. You know, that's what I mean. Hey,
how much of this stuff is you like kind of just off the fly saying things?
Pretty much all of it.
And then it just goes.
I mean, the factual information that I espouse over the airwaves and stuff like that, you know, you're prepping for every show. So that's, you know, so that information, I know I'm going to give that information. But what I say and how, in terms of how I say it, I never know. That's like,
it just come out that way. And
I'm sitting in front of you. You see me right here. This is me.
Politics.
Yes.
It seems as though, from my perspective, a lot of your opinions skew conservative or Republican. You've said that you're fiscally conservative and socially liberal.
Yes.
But you identify as an independent.
Yes.
Just quick, where are you at in that sphere?
Exactly where you said.
Okay.
I don't like either side. I am fiscal conservative because I don't like high taxes, which is why you'll never see me buy a house here in California. I respect the hell out of Gavin Newsom. You'll never see me vote for him because taxes are too damn high in the state of California. I don't like that. I don't like when I see a whole bunch of folks on the left giving the impression that, you know what, we need free universal health care. I'm down for that. But when you say that you're willing to take 75 to 80% of my money, as some of them have, we got a problem. I ain't giving up 75 to 80% of my money and going to work every day. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. Especially when most of the time I don't know what the hell the government is doing with that money. So what I like to do is I like to give the impression you don't know where I'm going. You don't know whether or not I'll turn against you. You don't know whether or not I'll support you or not. You got to sell me. If I go to buy a house, you can't just tell me about it. I got to see it. If you're gonna tell me about a car, you can't just come to me with that. I need to drive it. I need to see it. I need to experience it. And I think that that's what we should be doing politically. It's not to say to take sides. It's to encourage you to have to sell me on you. And don't do it by constantly telling me how awful the other side is. Tell me what you bring to the table. And so when I speak against the Democrats, this election was the last straw. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if it were not for Trump, I'd have voted for Nikki Haley in a heartbeat. Oh, free student loan, your student loans, we just gonna erase all of that. I didn't get to do that. I had to pay that shit. I had to pay my back. I had to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to do that. Oh, so now that's what we're doing? And so you see a whole bunch of stuff going on. Oh, by the way, You looking out for the young ladies out here. So you know what? We living in a cancer culture where, you know what, any little thing that you could potentially do could get your ass fired, right? Because we looking out for the ladies. But the same breath, now you're going to turn around and allow a transgender woman to compete against females in sports. And you're going to sit up there and say, hey, we looking out. Really? It's all inconsistencies all over the place. So at some point in time, we have a brain for a reason, and we get to exercise common sense and to peel out a level of hypocrisy. That's not to give a pass to the other side. Hell, they may not be shit either. I get that part. But if you in my face telling me that I should vote for you, and I got these things to point out about that could be problematic, and then your response to that is, well, if you voting against me, you voting against women. If you voting against Kamala Harris, you being a misogynist. Mm-hmm. Everywhere I've turned, black men have loved women. We've loved our mamas. We've loved our grandmas. We've loved our aunts. Yeah, we could be problematic at times, no doubt about that. But I'll stand up for black men any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I'll stand up for brothers, because I consider Hispanics my brothers and sisters too. I'll stand up for this all day, every day. What the hell are you talking about? We don't love women, we misogynistic. No, that's not us. We don't do that. So yeah, I speak against stuff like that. And I know it ruffles feathers, but I can give less than a damn.
As an independent, you've said that you judge success of presidency on, quote, morality and statesmanship. Is the president looking out for the best interests of the country or themselves? By that metric, amidst your other metrics that you measure, what do you feel is a fair assumption of, or fair assessment of how this current presidency is going?
I don't like what he's doing. The right likes what he's doing. I will give him credit for this. He's kept his word. What he's doing with the tariffs, he told us what he was going to do. What he's doing with the borders, he told us he was going to do it. And so, contrary to what we've customarily seen from politicians, for better or worse, he does what he says he's going to do.
Right.
It's just that what he says he's going to do, I ain't down for. You want to go after China, go after China. What you going after our allies for? You're going after our allies, you're turning our allies into China's allies because they're against us now because you went after them. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. You said that you was going to get rid of inflation. That hasn't happened. There wouldn't be a recession. It seems en route, right? DEI, you give the impression that that's about minorities in this country. Well, why don't you bring up the fact that DEI was necessary because of the treatment of minorities in this country? It amazes me how they forget certain things.
Sure.
But then I look at our society and let's make it personal. Let's look at me. Let's look at the criticism that I get. People forget that I say those things all the time and that I go across the aisle on left wing and right wing networks saying the same thing, but they forget all of that. They only peel apart something that I said that pissed them off, but they didn't peel apart the 90% of the things that I said that was in favor of the kind of things that we're talking about here. So you just realize that people get emotional, and as a result, they get deaf because they hear what they want to hear and they dismiss what they want to dismiss. But that's why they're where they are and I'm where I'm at, which is in a position where I get to articulate and disseminate a message to the masses. If they were doing what they were supposed to be doing and they were truly committed to it, then they wouldn't dismiss themselves from the possibility of doing so by virtue of alienating folks all the time.
As it stands now, we've had two United States presidents on this show, President Barack Obama, President Biden. Yep. Our request to President Trump went ignored. Perhaps that will happen one day. You, it seems, every other day have a different decision on whether or not you could be the third president to be on this show. Today, what's your stance?
Well, I haven't changed. Once again, you saying that I switched positions? I haven't switched positions.
No, you have.
No, I haven't.
Yes, you have. I've heard you say I'm ruling it out. Then, like maybe 2 weeks ago, you've said I've been left no choice. I got to at least keep my options open.
I said I've been compelled after talking to my pastor and numerous politicians who I would not name because they didn't want their names mentioned, and other elected officials on Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. They asked me to leave the door open, so I'll leave it open. But let me be clear. I just signed a new contract. Presidency ain't paying me that. That's a huge damn pay cut that I would have to take. Not to mention...
Would you be willing to take that pay cut?
No, absolutely not. So what I'm saying to you is that I've said all of these things. Now, in 3 years from now, if I change my mind, that would be a change. What I'm saying to you is what I've been saying. Is what I've been saying all along. I am not a politician. I'm not qualified. I don't want to be one. I'd like to be a voice to tackle the issues that need to be tackled to make sure that America's paying attention to what we need to pay attention to. I got that part. That's in my lane because that's what I do as a commentator / pundit, etc. But I have no desire to be a politician whatsoever. I like getting paid. I want to continue to get paid to be successful without the scrutiny of tens of millions of American citizens who might not like my positions on the border, the economy, healthcare, or something else. I'd rather not have that problem, but if desperate times call for desperate measures and enough people come my way, I'll leave the door open for the possibility. That, to me, is what I've been saying. If I've said anything else, my apologies.
Fair enough. One of my favorite quotes you've had is, it's not about getting your ass kicked, it's about what you're willing to take an ass kicking for.
Correct.
Great quote. What do you feel would have happened if you would have swung on LeBron?
I know a lot of people think that, and I really didn't want to talk about it because I don't want to talk about him, but the bottom line is this. People can say I get my ass kicked. Fine, go ahead. Did you see who I walked in with?
I did.
He was 10 feet away. So whatever's gonna happen would have had to happen quick. Because that brother right there, that is 330 plus, that is my bodyguard, not to mention a whole bunch of other people that I usually have around me, I really have very little to be worried about. Anybody could get got, and I'm fully aware of that. But one of the other things on a very, very serious note, everywhere I go, ESPN knows. Local police, FBI, everything. He's just with me.
Right.
But I'm always guarded because I'm an investment. We got people out here that's got people protecting them and they bringing in a little paper. I make a lot of money for the mouse. So if people want to think that I'm just walking around and I don't have anybody around me, he's just my blood. That's like my brother right there.
Right. So you like, what you're saying is,
I'm always protected.
you like your odds.
I like my odds. Now, all I'm trying to say is, and then other people brought this up, and we're going to be real here, and we're going to stop playing games with this particular subject. It's not about LeBron. It's about anybody.
Right.
If somebody walked up to you and hit you, you going to do nothing?
No, you gotta defend yourself.
That's all I'm trying to say. I didn't say
it's
when.
It's just funny hearing it, you know.
Yeah, I know that, but
it's LeBron
but I'm going like this. Yeah, because I would have.
Right.
And the only reason I'm saying I would. The only reason. No, you haven't.
Why? I saw it.
You saw that sorry ass video from a decade ago with two torn rotator cuffs. But if people want to think that's how I throw hands, it's okay.
So you saying?
I'm not saying nothing.
You got him if need be.
All I ever said to anybody is, if that's how you think,
choose wisely.
If that's how you think I throw hands, you do what you do.
Right.
That's all I said.
But you got him if you need.
I'm good. It's cool. It is what it is. I don't have to fight at this particular moment in time. I think it's kind of pathetic that people look at me at age 57 and ask me, not you, but I'm talking about people coming at me like that. It's like, I'm 57 freaking years old. I'm not 37 or 27.
Right.
I'm 57. But now y'all want to step to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I got it. Feel free. Do what you have to do. All I know is this. Again, and I've truly meant that. All my life, I've been that way. I'm not sitting up here telling you that I'll kick somebody's ass. What I'm telling you is that I'm not going to sit by and let somebody just put their hands on me. I don't give a shit who you are. Maybe the one exception might have been Mike Tyson in his heyday. I might have been like, I'm sorry, what'd I do?
You might not have a chance. You might be asleep by then.
Damn right. I totally believe that. Mike Tyson? Hell yes.
In 2005, you signed a 3-year deal at ESPN that paid you $1.3 million annually. Can you tell us the story of the time you walked into somewhere your mom was working and retired her on the spot?
She was working at the PAL Center. She had retired as a nurse at Queens General Hospital in Queens, New York, right off Grand Central Parkway. She was a registered nurse, the assistant head nurse there for 25 years. She had retired. She was living off a pension. And she was working at the PAL doing bingo and all of this other stuff just to get some change so she could go on vacation. She loved going to Atlantic City and stuff like that, the slot machines and everything like that. And obviously my family's from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, so she'd take a trip back there. Well, once I signed that contract, it was at the ABC building off of Columbus Avenue in Midtown. And I left the offices, drove straight to Queens. And I walked down there and I took her out of there and I said, let's go. She didn't know what was going on. I said, and I looked at her boss and said, she won't be back. And I drove and we lived 3 blocks away. And I said that you won't be working anymore. I just signed this contract and that's about that. I can't afford to pay the mortgage and all of this other stuff, but I can afford this. You know, your trips, your vacations, stuff like that. Those days are over. And you don't have to work no more to get pocket change, just to save up some money to go on vacation and stuff like that. That was the proudest moment of my life.
Damn, that's special. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's
dream for a lot of us.
That's the dream, which is why, a lot of people was happy. He just agreed to a new deal with ESPN and stuff like that. But for me, moments like that are always a bit bittersweet because my mother was the greatest person that I've ever known in my life. And I've never loved anybody as much as her until my daughters were born. And, for me to be in this position, what I could do for her now, and she's not here, that really, really hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot. So, a lot of times I keep myself preoccupied and stuff because those are the kind of things that are on my mind. I could be at a game. I could be at a game at Crypto.com Arena and I'm sitting at the game. And at some point in time, she'll cross my mind. It doesn't matter where I'm at or what I'm doing, she enters my mind. And when that happens, I instantly get sad because she's not here.
Damn, condolences.
Thanks.
A quick Google search says that your net worth is $25 million. Is that accurate?
No,
Is it far off?
not really.
So it's pretty close.
Not that close, but we'll see.
When?
It'll be more soon.
When?
Soon.
Down the line, 5 years, 10 years, or
Nah, it'll be a lot sooner than that.
what? Some checks start rolling in.
With some of the things that I got coming down the pike, yes. I intend for it to be that way.
That's great news. You signed a big contract over at ESPN. It's rumored to be 5 years, upwards of $100 million.
Yeah.
Accurate?
No comment.
Do you feel like you're paid your worth?
Do I feel like I deserved more? Yes. But am I happy with what I have? Yes. Because the money is enough. It was more than fair. It was a negotiation that took 275 days. But it ended up happening and I ended up in a very happy place. The money is one reason. But the biggest reason is the freedom that I was able to negotiate. The fact that I can, outside of sports, I can do anything I want is a big deal. It could be game shows, it could be a news show, it could be a weekly show, it could be a daily show. Having my production company, being able to do scripted and unscripted content, all of those things are available to me now. Owning my YouTube channel 100%. Having all the revenue retained for myself if I so choose. Having the freedom to do business with venture capitalists and private equity folks. To produce content for Disney or other networks in the event that they don't want it.
So you can do a lot, is what you're saying. You get
do-
paid a lot and you can do anything
I
you
can
want.
do. I can do not anything because I'm still. They have exclusivity with me in sports, as opposed to as it pertains to me doing sports on television, and that is it. There are no
That's a
other.
good deal.
There are no other restrictions, and so that means a great, great deal to me because it's not about the money that I'm making. It's about the money I now have the potential to earn.
I know you're not on social media much these days, you say, but what do you think of accounts on Twitter like NBA Centel?
I don't pay much attention to it.
Do you know what NBA Centel is?
I think it's a fake NBA account.
It is.
Yes.
And they
But they got me
Quite-
a couple of times.
quite frequently
Right.
get you and other people. So you,
Other people?
oh, of course.
Okay, all right.
You're not the only victim.
Well, I'm just saying sometimes like there's a lot that goes on at ESPN and there's a lot of people that, like, for example, I have a social media person. Like, I might tweet something out, but they put out stuff on my behalf.
Sure.
So because I got a lot of responsibilities and sometimes I don't have time to do all of that stuff. So I'm not living on it like that. But I got you to get, more power to them. They had their moment. I hope they feel good about it.
Who in your career do you feel you made the best television with, regardless of what your relationship is with them now?
We can never dismiss Skip Bayless. What we had was big time because we are naturally polar opposites.
Do you feel like he's your number one though? Like you guys made the best television that you've ever made? You know, considering, you know, Max and Shannon and whoever else.
I mean, me and Shannon and I love Shannon. That's hilarious. But my whole crew, man, Swagoo, Ryan Clark, we've all had special moments where Skip is the creme de la creme. It's because he's the original, number one, and number two, because it was the most consistent. See, those guys come on once or twice a week or something like that. Mad Dog Russo's big time as well. But Skip and I were on 5 days a week together for years, and we delivered. And so I don't think that anybody can eclipse him. You
obviously have had quite the journey to get to this point. But if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you started at ESPN at 36, is that right?
Yeah, that's about right.
So mid to late 30s
mid-30s
is when you started at ESPN, and that kind of was what brought you to the forefront for most people in the mainstream.
Yeah.
What's your message out there to people who maybe are at that point in their life in that, you know, they feel like maybe it's too late?
You got to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about who you are and what you bring to the table. You have to contemplate and take into account what level of sacrifice you're willing to make in order to be at the top. Part of being at the top puts me in the public eye. I know a lot of people don't want no parts of that. Part of being in my position is the way I dress and the way I carry myself. Sometimes people say I'm a bit too polished, but they didn't understand my mission. And I knew what my mission was and what I wanted to be. My mission was different than Scoop Jackson. My mission was different than Ryan Clark. My mission was different than somebody else. And so everybody's got their own thing. You gotta know you. Then you gotta know the business that you're interested in pursuing and all the elements that come with it and the sacrifices it may require in order for you to be where you are. And once you do that, you have to ask yourself at that moment, are you willing to pay that price? What we don't admit to ourselves is that a lot of us want the rewards. We don't want the sacrifice that it takes to achieve them. And I'm somebody that I'm never under those, I'm never disillusioned by that. I always know there's a price that I have to pay. And I've always been willing to pay it. And the people that are around me know what price I'm willing to pay. And if you're not ready for that ride, bounce. Don't get on the ride and step in my way when you know you ain't ready to roll like that. That would piss me off. I know what sacrifice it is. You gotta know what it entails. And you gotta make that decision, whether or not it's gonna be that way. That's how you gotta approach everything that you're in pursuit of.
I love that. Stephen A., finally we made it happen. I appreciate you stopping by. And I can't wait to see all the other money you're gonna make, you said.
I'm trying.
Appreciate you.
No doubt. Appreciate you.